Well, thank you, Thomas, for that very kind introduction. Thomas and I have known each other for many, many years, and we work together on school matters, not only at the local level, but at the state level, where he's been a real leader, not just for this area, but really for the whole state. Now, Thomas's favorite color is maroon. I do have to confess, my favorite color is burnt orange. But, you know, so we have our differences, but what we all have in common is a real commitment to our communities and to our schools. And I so much appreciate the work he's done and that all of you are doing. And I want to say this to the chamber. I get an opportunity to speak with many chambers on a regular basis. And our schools could not survive and accomplish what we accomplish all over this state without the support of business people and informed citizens in their communities. And I very much appreciate the Central Fort Bend Chamber and the work and the effort and the support you give to Fort Bend ISD, Lamar Consolidated, Stafford, and the many fine districts that you have in this area. And I want to say something right up front that I say whenever I have an opportunity to speak in chambers. Our law firm is very privileged to work with school districts, community colleges, some four-year colleges, cities, counties, primarily governmental entities. But if someone from the chamber will contact me, we will join as a member. So the next time I see you, I will be a member of your chamber along with you, because if you're supporting your schools, we want to support you and be a part of your organization. To build. Now let's quickly talk about our schools here in Texas. And I think it's important for us to remember what our schools look like. And our school populations change faster than our adult populations. Well, we see the leading edge of change in our schools, frankly. And you all know about our changes in Texas. We're growing demographically. Demographers will tell us that we're growing by about 350,000 residents a year in the state of Texas. We're adding nearly 1,000 new citizens a day to the state. We're adding 80,000 school kids every year to the state of Texas. Think about that. 80,000 kids. If you put 20 kids in a classroom, that's 4,000 new classrooms every year. And a lot of that growth is concentrated in certain areas of the state, and this is certainly one of them. At some point in the next 2 years, the Hispanic student population will become the absolute majority of the overall student population in the state of Texas. These shifts are just extraordinary that are occurring in our schools. And again, I think we're seeing in our schools, we see the leading edge of change in our society. As our population is growing, it's getting bigger. It's also changing internally, and our student population is getting poorer. The percentage of our kids who are actually applying for free and reduced price lunch for the first time last year topped 50%. Now, more kids are eligible. You probably have about 56% of our population that is eligible, but many high school kids won't apply. But we now have over half of our kids in the state who are eligible, and that means they come from families that are relatively poor. Our staff is also growing to reflect the needs of a growing, changing student population. You'll know the majority of our staff in Texas are classroom teachers. And there are some other categories that I didn't include here that add up to the total right away. You will note that a relatively small percentage of our overall population would be classified as classic or traditional administration. Most of our people work at the campus level. They're either teachers or they work in support directly at the campus level. And I think that's always important to keep in mind. Education is a labor-intensive business in the state of Texas. And I think our employment reflects that. Now, I'm briefly going to make a few comments about some funding issues, but in the interest of time, I will do this pretty quickly, and then we can talk about it later if there's interest. We've had quite a bit of litigation going back to the 80s over our school finance system. Some of our key provisions, Article 7, Section 1 of our Constitution, and there's similar language in the Constitution of most states. This language traces back to a resolution that Thomas Jefferson introduced in the Virginia House of Delegates a decade before the Revolutionary War. But it imposes an absolute duty on the state to establish and then suitably provide for an efficient system of public free schools. There's a lot else that we do at the state level that is important and that is necessary infrastructure, whether that is highways, types of projects. But education is very different because there is an absolute constitutional duty that traces back literally to the very origin of our state. We've also got a prohibition in our state constitution that the state cannot directly levy a property tax. And our state legislature has said that also means you can't create a system that is so dependent on the local property tax that it operates as if it were a state property tax. And so I think that's pretty important. Basically, we must provide for an adequate and equalized system. You may rely on local property taxes in part to help support that. What you may not do at the state level is to rely so heavily on local taxes that it operates as if it were a state tax. Our legislature is looking at a potential deficit of as much as $18 billion. And that's a little bit of conjecture at this point because we're trying to project 2 years into the future about what the economy is going to do. We can make up about 2/3 of that. We can cover about 2/3 of that deficit out of the existing rainy day fund, which is in essence a savings account at the state level, plus some accounting adjustments, moving some expenditures between banks. That leaves over $6 billion that will probably have to be in the form of true cuts. That's $20,000 per classroom difference in funding for districts that are trying to accomplish the same things. And remember that growth we have in Texas, 80,000 new kids a year showing up. There's a cost associated with that in the form of just paying for growth. Now, I don't think inflation is hopefully going to be a big issue. So hopefully that $5 billion number will be quite a bit less. But growth alone is a couple $2 billion a year. And I think we always have to remember, we're trying to get a growing population that is simultaneously becoming more needy to higher standards. But I think we're optimists in Texas. All of our schools, to the best of my knowledge, are off to excellent starts this year. We are going to accomplish some great things for kids.
Again, thank you to the Chamber and everyone for recognizing these individuals. We're very fortunate in the Marcy ISD to have some outstanding administrators as well as teachers. And so at this time, we'd like to recognize them. These are our outstanding teachers and administrators.